But don't get freaked out too quick. You saw the word period in the title, but we are going to talk a little bit about the ladies. We shed our uterus lining during this time of the month. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Although I'm sure mostly ladies clicked on this video, I quickly want to say, guys, before I lose you, although I'm sure you're still there, you're a little bit interested. You must admit it. You're a little bit interested in what I'm about to say. But don't get freaked out too quick. You saw the word period in the title, but we are going to talk a little bit about the ladies. We shed our uterus lining during this time of the month. But don't get too freaked out, guys. You should stick around. I'm going to talk about some tips for the ladies to kind of help them out during this week. So if anything, you're going to want to stick around, see what the hell I have to say, help your ladies out during this week, because at the end of the day, if your lady's happy, you're going to be happier. So stick around and see what I'm going to talk about. So anyways, you've clicked here because I want to talk about a very popular topic. I'm not sure there's a lot of videos out there on YouTube about it, but I know being in prep, I get asked quite a bit if I still have my period, and it's a common topic with competitors, which I do, by the way. That's a separate video, but I do still have my period. I always have in all the competitions I've done. I've never lost it. But a common thing to happen to us ladies the week before and the week of are the cravings go through the roof, right? Am I right? I'm right. You know this. So it can be really, really hard for anyone, but especially if you're a competitor or you're just really trying to be mindful of your eating choices and your weight, or maybe you're trying to lose weight, whatever goals you may have, it can be kind of challenging. So I want to kind of give you my tips on this topic for what to do to combat these cravings and speak a little bit about the background of why it happens. I know some men out there may believe that it's just all make-believe. Us ladies, we're crazy and we just make this stuff up and use it as an excuse to eat chocolate and pizza and all that bad stuff we think we're not supposed to have. But truly, there are hormonal changes that occur within our body. We are losing nutrients, essentially, ladies, during this time of the week, during this time of the month. So when your body loses necessary nutrients, like magnesium is a big one, iron, you lose some sodium, we excrete those things more, so your body knows. Your body's like, oh my God, I feel so devoid of nourishment, and you crave things with those minerals in them. Not to mention, our bodies actually do work harder the week of our periods. They work harder, our caloric needs can be higher. So there's going to be some days that you feel like a ravenous beast. And I have them every time, every month. There's one day where I'm like, why do I want to eat everything in sight? It's not emotional eating. You legit feel like you need to eat everything in sight. And typically what we crave are not broccoli and tilapia or healthy things. We want sweets and we want salty, and we go back to those types of cravings. So it can be really hard. So there's those days where your calorie needs, you're feeling like you could eat and will eat everything. And then there may be some other days throughout that week that you're okay, you can handle it, you're normal. But understand that going into that week, your calorie needs may be a bit higher. You may be working, your body may be working a bit harder. So the cravings are there, the cravings are real, and that's the first thing you need to kind of understand and accept, especially for the guys out there. Give your ladies a little break. Understand they may be craving a little bit more. You know, it may be a more challenging week for them if there's someone who's competing or going to be in a competition. It can get tough. So one of the major things that we crave, a lot of times you hear us talk about chocolate. We want chocolate. And that is related to our hormonal differences during that time of the month. Like I mentioned, we do lose a lot of magnesium and can be in a mineral deficiency during this time of the month. And cocoa tends to be fairly high in magnesium, so it makes sense that we crave chocolate. We're not using it as an excuse. We truly, our body is desiring chocolate. So a suggestion for you, there's a couple approaches. You can say, fuck this, screw it, it's 1 week out of the month, I'm going balls to the wall and I'm gonna eat whatever I want because I'm a lady and that's what I deserve, you know? I've done that. We've all done that, where sometimes we're just like, I earned this, I deserve this, or maybe you're not even like recognizing the correlation between your period and what hormonally is happening and what you're craving. So you could do that, say F it, balls to the wall, or you could kind of work with those cravings, and that's what I try to do, especially if I'm in prep. I don't have a choice. I have to kind of work with it. And obviously, I compete, so I feel like I do have a good amount of discipline, but I do love food, and I like to not feel too deprived, as you guys know, and I like to not get too mental over it. So I do try to find some Kara-style substitutions, hence all the fun recipes I put on my website and do for Tiger Fitness. You have to find substitutions to kind of work with it. So my one trick with chocolate, and I don't do this during prep, but for anyone who's not prepping, this is a great tip with chocolate. For me, dark chocolate is something that I don't desire. I don't not like it, but dark chocolate is not something I will overindulge in. You won't see me sitting there wanting to eat 4 dark chocolate bars. They're just not that interesting to me. They don't taste that good, especially if you go with the super high percentage cocoa type chocolate bars. So if you're with me on that and you feel the same way, what I recommend you doing is just either buying some like individual sized dark chocolates, or you can buy one of those big dark cocoa chocolate bars at like Target or Walmart. Like I said, go for the highest percentage of cocoa. It's gonna taste bitter and not as sweet, but there's actually health benefits to that, so it's kind of nice. And you could just break off a couple pieces of that and eat it and satisfy that chocolate sweet craving. And don't get me wrong, like when I eat chocolate, I want to like eat chocolate and go all in. But with dark chocolate, I do find I'm able to better control myself, and I can make it last in my kitchen for a long time because it's just not something that I'm gonna like go overboard on. So I highly suggest adding that in there, and there's also good health benefits with eating the really dark chocolate as well. So that can be a helpful tip for you. And also with chocolate cravings, I'm on prep, I have to like eat certain foods and think about, you know, my physique and what I'm putting into my body. So one simple thing I like to do is just having protein shakes. And that might sound like common knowledge, but I actually don't do a lot of protein shakes as part of my daily intake just because I don't feel as full from them. But the one thing that's really nice about protein shakes, especially the MTS Nutrition, it's so super sweet. And I mentioned this in my cutting video, that just having like the cookies and cream, it's so sweet that if I'm craving chocolate first thing in the morning, I may have that as a protein shake just because it'll help combat that chocolate desire that my body's having. So that's one way to kind of work with the chocolate and work with that specific craving. The other thing that we tend to crave too are salty foods, and that can come from our adrenal glands really working hard during this time of the month. And again, anytime our body is in some type of mineral deficiency, we feel it, and you know, and you get that craving. So if you're deficient in any type of minerals, you tend to start craving salty. And that might be when you want to reach for the chips and the crackers and pizza and things like that. But again, I highly recommend trying to avoid those foods if you can, and adding in, you know, more nutrient-dense foods that are going to help meet your mineral needs but not screw up your diet. So with the salt, you know, I do use sea salt and add that to my foods, so that can be helpful. I know a lot of people just avoid table salt altogether because you do naturally get it through the foods you eat. But maybe going into period week, you want to add in a little more sea salt so that your body doesn't get as depleted. And eating lots of veggies high in water content with some sodium in there is another good way to help replenish your body of those minerals. During that time of the month, hunger is your enemy. It's your definite enemy. You need to be prepared. You need to be prepared all the time if you're in competition prep, but you gotta be prepared for period week, you guys. You almost gotta like just get ready for it, know it's coming. because the last thing you want to do is leave yourself in a position where you're hungry and you're without food, because that's when bad decisions get made and that's when we go downhill. So what I need for you to do is plan ahead. You know, the more you can balance your meals throughout this week, the easier it's going to be to control your cravings. So some of this information I'm giving you is just good basic information for anyone trying to curb cravings, but really during that time of week, it's going to get extra challenging for you, no matter who you are. So try to plan your meals accordingly and get in that good balance of protein, carbs, and fats throughout the day. You don't want to be lacking in any of those areas, because it will come back to bite you and you will be that ravenous pig trying to eat anything you can get your hands on. So plan out your meals accordingly. And maybe if you're not normally the person that eats 4 to 5 meals a day, I know I don't typically always follow that guideline. Sometimes I just like to eat 3 meals or 2 meals because it's more convenient. This time of the month, it may be beneficial for you to plan out smaller, more frequent meals, so you are supplying your body with that steady flow of nourishment, and that you're never letting your blood sugar levels get too low, because when they get too low is when those cravings really hit you hard. So definitely plan accordingly to eat frequently throughout the day, and really make sure that first meal of the day, and this is something I practice on a daily basis, really try to plan that first meal to be a nice hearty meal. Make sure you get in enough protein for whatever your protein needs are. For me, I tend to do anywhere from like 20 to 30 grams of protein. Make sure you're getting in a good amount of carbs and some fat with it too. Try not to neglect any of those macronutrients during your first meal. If you start out your day that way, you're going to be more likely to stay successful throughout the rest of your day. So it's important that you start your day right with your diet. The other tip I want to give you guys too is, especially we all know about the PMS bloat that we get, and we feel like we retain fluid and we're bloated and our weight's up. Make sure you're drinking enough fluids. That is, a lot of people think, well, if I drink more water, I'm going to feel more bloated. And actually, the opposite will happen. If you're drinking adequate amounts of water, yeah, you're going to go to the bathroom a little bit more, but you'll help excrete those toxins that your body's already trying to get rid of, which happens during the week of your period anyways. That's part of the menstruation process, is eliminating some of the toxins. So it's even more so important that you're drinking adequate fluid during this week. So make sure you're carrying a jug with you, or a water bottle, or whatever you like, to make sure you have ample hydration with you throughout the day. I know for me, if I didn't carry my water bottle with me at work, I would probably never drink water during the workday, because no matter what you do for a job or whatever you have going on in your life, whether you stay at home with your kids or what have you, we forget to drink. It's that simple. We get very busy during the day and we forget to drink. So make sure you make it a point to have that water bottle with you, and that'll be a reminder that I need to drink more and I need to make sure I'm getting enough fluid in, and that will help with that bloated feeling. And another thing with the bloat, and some people see it as like a good time to not go to the gym. It can be tough. Like, you get bloated, you get those symptoms where you're like crampy and hurting and in pain. And some of us get it worse than others. Some people don't get it at all, and other people do feel like they almost can't even function because of the pain. And sometimes I think people use that as an excuse not to go work out. And I'm here to tell you that that's exactly when you need to go work out. It will help you feel better. I guarantee it. It can be hard when you're feeling that way, and especially when you feel bloated and crappy, whether it's from your period or what have you. You do lose motivation to go to the gym. No one likes going to the gym when they feel bad about themselves. But going to the gym is exactly what will help not only make you feel less bloated, it can also help reduce those PMS symptoms, whether it's the cramping or maybe your mood's all over the place. We know during the week of our period, that's when we deal with our emotions, right? It tends to be the time that if you haven't dealt with your emotions the past 3 weeks, guess what, folks? You're dealing with it that week, on top of the bloat and the blood and everything else. Sorry to get gross, but it's true. We deal with a lot during that week. So exercise can really, really help you, not only in terms of those symptoms, but also just mentally, you will feel better about yourself. So I definitely encourage you all to keep working out during this time. Maybe you don't feel comfortable going to the gym. Maybe it's just going outside and going for a walk if you can. Like I mentioned before, just a minute ago, we deal with a lot of emotions during that week, which can also be part of our body's caloric increase and need and demand for more calories, because we really start processing a lot. A lot of different emotions. Your body's undergoing a lot during this week, and you need to kind of let it take its course. So what I suggest you do, and this helps me out a ton, is find a yoga class if you can. If you're not into yoga or don't feel comfortable going to a class setting, a lot of times you can just get a cheap DVD or even like on demand on TV. I've done that as well. And do more of like a relaxing yoga. You don't want like a vinyasa yoga where you're doing like power movements and it's high paced, but do more of like a meditative relaxation yoga where you're really just doing more deep stretching, focusing on your breathing, and focusing on kind of your mind-body connection. And that can really help you during that week with all those emotions going on. And I know I've had those times where it feels like all of a sudden in one day I'm dealing with the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I don't know how to handle it, and I just want to cry over the stupidest things that I would never cry over. I'm like, why am I reacting this way? I don't know, and it happens, and I know you guys know what I'm talking about. And adding in something to kind of just relax yourself can really, really help, not only physically and mentally, but it can even help you stay on track with your diet. And I really have noticed that benefit with yoga. So finding a nice yoga class or even doing it at home if you're more comfortable with it can just kind of help you overall during that week when you're processing all those emotions. So if you're mentally in a better place and feeling more relaxed, we tend to make better food choices and think more rationally. So I encourage you to do that as well.
I'll stop you on both really quick.
And my final tip for you on that special week of yours, if you are having some serious cravings, as a dietitian, I do recommend listening to your body. And if you're obsessively thinking about something and really craving something, that may mean your body truly is asking you for it. And I don't mean that in a way to make an excuse to go gung-ho the whole week. But what I'm telling you to do is if you're craving something and you think about it and you're hungry and you are going to eat it, what I say is at least do it mindfully. So don't just go through the drive-thru and eat in your car, or not. Like, just be mindful, be present in what you're eating and really think about it and taste it and enjoy it. And in the end, that'll leave you not overindulging in that food and feeling a little less guilty about the situation. I really am a firm believer in treating your body, and so that is a good week to treat yourself. So just make sure you're doing it in moderation and that you're doing it mindfully, because most people tend to do 18 other things when we eat. So if you're gonna do it, sit down, be present in the moment, and really enjoy it, and don't feel any guilt attached with it. That's something I can't do right now during prep, and that's just kind of the nature of prepping, but I find those substitutions that work for me, like with making my protein ice cream. And some people may say, well, you shouldn't eat that kind of stuff when you're on prep. Well, you know what? Eating things like that and making my Cara-like substitutions is what helps keep me on track during prep, so I don't go overboard, so I don't lead to wanting to binge, which a lot of bikini competitors tend to struggle with. So for me, this approach really helps. So I think that's all my period tips to curb those cravings. I hope this video was informational for you and gave you some new things to think about. Guys, I hope it gave you a little understanding if you're still watching, if you're still listening. I hope it gave you a little information as to what we go through during that time of the month. I'd love to hear what some of your tips are to curb cravings during that time of the month, or what you do to kind of help work with it and not let it control you. So please comment below. I do feel like this is a community and a lot of people read these comments and do benefit from it. So if you have any good tips, I'd love to know. So comment below and give this video a like. We'll see you in the next one.
Give them a little hello, and then just kind of the back. That's obviously the key. And like I said, if you like your foot one foot in front of the other, you do that. Or you can go like that and cross. It's a preference.
Yeah.
What do you feel more comfortable doing?
I've practiced just doing the 1 foot like in front of the other
Mhm.
more. So I think that, and without looking on my backside, I think it might look better, but I don't know.
Okay,
I
so
guess
then
I'll just-
hit that pose.
Okay.
Now at